Ukrainian women are now just the same as Western women. They've just become westernized. And I look at this and I think, well, what does westernized mean? Because there's no definitive answer for a westernized person, right? Some of it you could probably say it's subjective to what you think a westernized person is, I think, to some degree. Would you agree? Like it's not like the westernized person has these 6 characteristics, and if they have those particular traits, that person is classified as westernized. So it's not like a race, right? You've got a certain amount of whatever DNA, you're a particular race.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. It's like we call it like westernized, but it's the same like Europeanized, like we now in Europe, and so there's a bad traits that people just don't like about Western women, and that's why they worry that their women will take this, right?
Yeah, okay. So I think that when people are saying westernized, it's the context of the word westernized is a bad term.
Bad, yes.
Yeah, they're not saying, oh, great, they've now been westernized, so they've now been liberated, and they're open to feminism. No, I don't think they're saying that at all. They're saying that that they would prefer to have a woman that didn't have these traits of Western women, and that can be found in certain other countries. So that's an important thing to remember, because what's going to make a woman so-called westernized? One thing we could look at is that, and one thing that it's alluded to, is that women that are on Instagram with their asses out, being overly sexual in nature when it comes to sort of putting themselves out into the world. Okay, we'll get back to that soon. But some guys think that is westernized, because they think that a non-westernized woman from some of these other countries, Ukraine, is like at home making her borscht, planting potatoes while the husband is out working in the factory or something like that. So this is all sort of like this weird sort of, I don't want to use the word fantasy, but certainly a disillusion that some guys may have when it comes to certain other countries, certain other cultures. So I can tell you now what I think a westernized woman is, and maybe this will resonate with you. So a westernized woman is a woman that does not require a man in order to survive in this world, right? Or in order to have a mediocre life, she does not need a man. Now that's what's happened in the West. And the reason that that's happened in the West is because of things like social services, things of some of the court laws that are out there that basically eliminate the need for a man, or even punish a woman for even being with a man. So if a woman has a couple of kids and she meets another man, for example, or even the same man, I guess, if that man is not living there, or any man is not living with her in the house, and she has a couple of kids, she's getting money from the government, social services, right? This is the same in New Zealand, Australia, UK, United States, probably.
But not in Ukraine.
But not in Ukraine. So we'll get to that. So what it does is the government itself and the society that is around there, the socioeconomics of the country as well, because you have to have money for these social services, which is going to come from taxpayers. So there has to be enough money that's coming into the country, into the government, to be able to allocate these funds. The man is basically being eliminated from society in terms of a useful part of society. So if that happens, women are going to become what I would say is they become westernized. So if a man does move into the house of a woman who has 2 kids who's getting money from social services, her money gets cut off. So she has to make a choice, man or the money, right? And this is the saddest part about it. This is what I believe becoming westernized is, right? It's a country that has an abundance of money, seemingly, right? Let's just say that. We won't go too deep into how much money is available and the debt that is in the Western culture, how much debt is in the Western system. But there's enough money to give to women to eliminate men from their lives, to eliminate fathers from families. Right? And there's incentive to do that. In other countries where the socioeconomics of that country there's not so much abundance. It is required for a man to be in the life of a woman, to take care of that woman, to protect and to provide, in order for her to have a life that is at least mediocre, let alone a life that is going to excel in all different areas, whether it's a nice house, a nice car, nice food, nice stuff in their house. And we've talked about it before, about how women in some of these other countries, it's not just Ukraine, it's other countries that are, poor, such as, like Thailand and the Philippines, Southeast Asia, South America. They need a man in order for their life to be better. So if we were to say, is a Ukrainian woman westernized? Well, it would depend on what she's getting from the government that is around her, that over time will slowly shape her. I don't think it's something that's going to happen in a week or 2 weeks or 1 year or even a few years. I think it's something that may be intergenerational. So her mother may have already been getting this welfare, and she may have been a welfare baby, and she understands that that's kind of easier than going out and finding a man. She doesn't have to stay in shape. She doesn't have to keep herself in check. She doesn't have to be feminine, beautiful, any of those things. She's already going to get all that stuff anyway. The man is completely eliminated.
We spoke about this, we spoke about this before, that the guys, like, they do have these concerns and they worry about that, and of course they put only negative kind of like color to this westernized word, but first of all, like, the Ukrainian culture, and I recently told that to Striker, that in Ukrainian culture, like, the ladies are trying to stay, at least it was like with the grandmother, with the mother, like that they try to stay with the man, even if he is like not the best, unfortunately, like even if he is drinking, even if he is abusing, they try to stay together, because yes, there is no support, from the government, but also like because they try to keep the family. And the only westernized thing that I do see, and like we discussed that in our Ascent, if you don't know what it is, like follow the link below. It's the system that we created for the guys to understand Ukrainian ladies better, to embrace their masculinity and actually find out how to navigate the relationship. We discussed there that you might be the problem a little bit who will cause that the lady will be westernized, because in my mind, for example, what I saw is that, like, when you go out to eat, the guys in US, like, going out to eat, it's usually like a rush thing. It's like fast, let's go, just like we're not eating at home. And from one hand, it's nice, but in Ukraine, it's a whole ritual, when the lady needs to to dress nice, she needs to change, she needs to put the heels, she needs to put the makeup. But in the West, it's like, hurry up, like we just go, like it's kind of a casual thing. And so you, by not telling her that you're going to have to making it special, like she will start going to the restaurant the same that she's going to the grocery, basically not even changing her pajama. For me, this is westernized. This is like...
Well, that's an interesting point, because the next part to this is like they become westernized because, they basically got their asses out all over Instagram and TikTok and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, okay. So I don't think that a woman showing her ass and her tits off to the world is a Western trait. I think in many different countries, if a woman has the opportunity in order to get attention from men, they will do it. What has happened is things like TikTok, social media, dating apps, whatever it is, has allowed her to satisfy that need to do that in a way that is not condemned by society. Because, I don't know, 30 years ago, if a woman like took a photo of her ass and stuck it on the wall somewhere in her house or at the supermarket and just pinned it on the wall, she would be condemned as just a massive slut. And everybody would be shaming her as this woman that showed her ass in public. Now, that's not the case at all. These women can do this, right? And men get so upset with these women that are, Instagram thoughts, but they're not doing it unless they get the attention.
It's like the same guys are supporting that, in some other girl, not their girl, but maybe some other girl that they see online.
They're only doing it because they're getting that attention, right? And so if you've ever been on Instagram and you're scrolling and you're looking at chicks, the views alone is what's getting it, is what's pushing out her content further, right? If you're liking it, putting little love hearts or whatever other garbage on these things here, this is the problem, right? And if men saw women that weren't doing it, if you saw a woman that was showing other women how to cook, how to make bread in the kitchen, in an apron, fully clothed, if other men wrote under that, I would love to have a woman like you, that's so incredible, so amazing, thank you so much.
And encourage that.
The Instagram thoughts would start to realize, hang on a second here, these women here are getting the attention. I'm not getting the attention anymore. The reason these women are doing this is because they are the ones getting attention by men. So we can say that they're not they're becoming more westernized. But as you mentioned before, a man can westernize a woman so much easier than anything else at all. So that's my view on westernized women. If she's not reliant on a man, if she's reliant on the government or some services like that, that is a westernized woman, because that supersedes anything when it comes to who she is as a woman and who she would be as a wife, because somebody else is going to take care of her. Somebody else is going to take, and I say somebody else, I'm talking about the government. The government is the one that's going to protect and provide for her. I mean, in some situations, maybe it is useful. I mean, there are a lot of useless guys out there in the world, and they do need that help. But for her to become what I would consider westernized, she would have to be relying on some system where she has categorically said, I do not need a man anymore. And if that is the case, then yes, she has become probably what you may be thinking about when you say that she has become westernized. She no longer needs you. And if that's the case, she's eliminated herself from this race and you don't need to worry about her anyway. So what you should be doing, you should be looking at women that need men. The women that need men are the women that are incentivized to be in relationships. And that is because you can protect and you can provide for her.
We hope it was useful. We'll see you in the next one.
Catch ya.